You know that feeling when you're just trying to run a quick, essential errand, but you literally cannot find a safe, accessible parking spot? If you or a loved one deal with mobility challenges, you already know exactly how exhausting and frustrating navigating public spaces can be. Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to break down exactly how to navigate Delaware's recently simplified disabled parking placard process so you can finally secure the accessibility and the convenience that you absolutely deserve.
So let's start with a scenario I think a lot of us can relate to. Picture this. You arrive at a crowded grocery store, or maybe a medical facility, and you realize the only available parking is hundreds of yards away. For someone with physical limitations, that isn't just a minor annoyance, right? It can be a total roadblock to getting through your day. Finding safe, close parking is just a critical, basic need.
All right, let's jump right into this explainer and look at why a Delaware disabled parking placard is such a game changer. Getting this placard is really about reclaiming your daily independence. It means you can actually get to where you need to go without facing unnecessary hurdles or, frankly, exhausting yourself before you even reach the front door.
So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover the basics and benefits, who is eligible, the application process, placard rules and responsibilities, and wrap up with some final tips and disclaimers.
Okay, Part 1. The Basics and Benefits.
What's really cool is that recent legislative changes, specifically under Senate Bill 236, have made the whole system incredibly user-friendly. In Delaware, they use a color-coded system for the physical placards, giving you two main options. First up is the red placard. This is meant for temporary disabilities. Thanks to the new laws, this temporary window is actually extended to 180 days, which is roughly 6 months. That is a much more realistic timeline if you're, say, recovering from a major surgery. On the flip side, we have the blue permanent placard. This one is for long-term conditions, and it boasts a massive validity period of a full 8 years.
Do you want to know the absolute best part about this program? It's the cost. Delaware does not charge a single cent for these standard hanging placards. They are completely 100% free to obtain. Now keep in mind, if you want the special disability license plates, you'll still pay your standard vehicle registration fees, but the hanging placards themselves, exactly $0. It's so great because it ensures financial barriers don't block your accessibility.
Moving right along to Section 2. Who is eligible?
Delaware's criteria are strictly focused on your physical capacity to navigate public spaces safely. The main thing here is that you must meet specific clinical standards, and yes, these need to be certified by a medical professional. So what are they looking for? Well, if you literally cannot walk 200 feet without stopping to rest, or if you can't walk safely without a brace, cane, wheelchair, or some other assistive device, you'll likely qualify. It also covers severe respiratory conditions, like lung disease where your respiratory volume is restricted, or if you use portable oxygen. Even severe cardiac conditions, specifically Class 3 or IV as defined by the American Heart Association, or severe arthritic, neurological, or orthopedic limitations that really impact your walking, will meet the state's threshold.
But wait, there is a massive exemption here, and it is fantastic news for seniors. If you are 80 years of age or older, you automatically qualify for a permanent placard. This is actually a recent change. They lowered the age threshold from 85 down to 80. If you hit that age requirement, you just show proof of age, like your state ID or birth certificate, and you get to skip the doctor's office completely. No medical signature required at all.
All right, Section 3, the application process. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how to get this done.
The whole workflow is cleanly mapped out into 3 really straightforward steps. First, you get the official application. Second, unless you fall under that over 80 exemption we just talked about, you have an authorized healthcare professional sign the clinical certification. This could be your physician, a physician assistant, or an advanced practice registered nurse. And third, you submit the finished paperwork to the Delaware Division of Motor Vehicles. Simple, right?
When you go hunting for this application on the DMV website, or if you pop in person, the magic number you're looking for is Form MV474. It's got the official state seal right at the top. Grabbing the correct, up-to-date form is step 1 in making sure you don't hit any annoying processing delays. And here's a quick pro tip. Triple check that you've filled out every single field of your personal information before you hand it over to your doctor to sign.
Now, how do you actually submit this thing? Well, it kind of depends on your situation. If you're a first-time applicant under the age of 80, you do have to submit your physical form either in person at a regional DMV branch, which honestly can sometimes offer same-day processing, which is awesome, or you can mail it to the DMV correspondence unit in Dover. But if you are 80 and over, or if you're just renewing or replacing an existing permanent placard, Delaware has this highly convenient online portal. You can literally handle the entire transaction from your living room couch and skip the DMV waiting room entirely.
Section 4. Placard Rules and Responsibilities.
Look, getting the placard in your hands is really only half the battle. Misunderstanding the rules is a huge pitfall. First off, the placard has to hang from your front windshield's rearview mirror whenever you're parked in an accessible space. But, and this is key, you must take it down when the car is moving so it doesn't block your view. Crucially, the person with a disability who is issued the placard absolutely must be either driving or riding in the vehicle when you use these spaces. You can't just lend it to a family member so they get good parking while running an errand for you. Oh, and these are only valid on vehicles with a gross registered weight of 14,000 pounds or less.
If you happen to forget these rules, say you let a buddy use your placard when you weren't with them, the penalties are no joke. We're talking a hefty fine of $250 for a first offense. And if it happens again, that jumps up to a $500 fine or even possible imprisonment. And your placard could be suspended or permanently revoked. The state takes protecting these parking spaces extremely seriously.
Finally, Section 5, Final Tips and Disclaimers.
One last thing I want to highlight, which is a major win from Senate Bill 236, is how they handle renewals now. If you have that 8-year permanent placard, renewing it today only requires a simple written self-certification stating that your condition persists. That's it. The state permanently scrapped the rule that forced you to do repetitive, totally unnecessary doctor visits just to keep an existing permanent placard active. For anyone managing a lifelong condition, that is a huge, well-deserved relief.
Now, while this explainer covers the current rules of the road, always double-check the latest requirements directly on the official Delaware DMV website just to be safe. Securing your placard is a fantastic first step to reclaiming your independence, but it does leave us with a bigger question to think about. How else can we advocate for better accessibility in our own local communities to ensure that public spaces are truly open and welcoming to everyone? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, here's to smoother, safer journeys ahead.